Go ahead, Sudha.
Yes, ma'am.
Before going ahead, Rajvat, can you just tell the virtual etiquettes? Can you just tell people,
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone who have joined today for the Nurse Leader program. And before starting the program, I would like to dictate few of the etiquettes which the participant has to follow. We have muted every participant in the meeting because there can be unnecessary noises can come. So because of that reason, we have muted everyone in the participant list. Those who wants to ask any question or those who are having any query, at the end they will be allowed to ask questions and they can raise a hand at the end. I think some time will be given at the end for any queries and questions which you people need to ask. And please switch on your camera. It is a request because the great expert is there. She will be interacting with you and it will look good and they will be able to interact more, we can say, happily when your faces are there on the screen and your people are listening. So I request, please fix your camera on your face, don't rotate here and there, and please switch on your cameras. And if you want to ask any question, please raise your hand or you can put it in the chat box as well. And once the session is over, I think time will be given for discussion, and that time you can raise your hand and we will unmute. That's it. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajwant. Good morning and greetings to all of you. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for the second bi-monthly webinar on Our Nurse, Our Leader, Our Icon, Chat with Nurse Leader. Leadership is an action, not a position. Leadership is influencing, not advertising. Leadership is the capacity, not publicity. Leaders are mass, not a boss. Leaders empower, not overpower. Leaders create more leaders and never order. They turn vision into reality and change ideality as their identity. With this small note, I would like to start the session. Dear fraternity, we have with us two eminent leaders today who inspires, role models, and passes the baton to all of us. Dr. Selva Titus Chaco, Dean, College of Nursing, Gulf Medical University, United Arab Emirates, a frequent flyer, globe trotter, who has traveled the length and breadth, who is the guest speaker and the nurse leader who is well known to all of us. And I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. I said two eminent leaders. The other leader is Dr. S. Annie Grace Kalaimati, our lovable, powerful captain as the organizing chairperson of the series, who always believes in team. Together, everyone achieves more. It's my pleasure to welcome you, ma'am. I welcome all the principals, faculty members, friends, and students for this webinar. I welcome the ECHO team and the TNNMC team. My pleasure to welcome Madam Dr. F. Annie Raja, Principal, St. Isabel's College of Nursing, who is also the facilitator for the program.
Oh.
Well, it's a good start. May I request Dr. Annie Raja to introduce the organizing chairperson.
Blessed morning to everyone, and it is really a privilege for us to have and work under our dynamic leader, Professor Dr. Annie Grace Kalaimati, Registrar of Tamil Nadu Nurses and Midwives Council, who is the organizing chairperson.
Annie's.
Do you have any difficulty?
I think she's problem. Yeah, you carry on.
Yes, ma'am. So the registrar who always does not require any introduction. That's the reason.
I don't want also. It was surprising for me why you're cooking.
Ma'am, yeah. Anyway, a small brief before you could start. In a calm, quiet pond, if you throw a stone, it creates a wave and it goes on and on. Similarly, this leader throws very often not a stone, a stimulus that increases the beta and gamma waves of our brain. May I request our registrar to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Very happy morning. Indeed, it's my great pleasure to have Selva Titus ma'am over here on this platform, as a one of our guests and having a chat with a great leader from southern part of India. When I started this series, it was like a lot of questions came into my mind. Because in India, there is no culture of telling who is the leader. They always say, where is the leader means Florence Nightingale. Nobody else they will tell in nursing profession. I thought, while I was going through the World Nursing Report 2020, it gave me a lot of ideas. That's why I brought in this program. I will brief it, how this program been materialized and been put into action. And I first, honestly, from TNMC Council, Tamil Nadu Nurse and Midwives Council, it is my delight to welcome you, Madam Dr. Selva Titus. And it's our pleasure on behalf of not only the council, I take the pleasure of my active renewal list of nurses, 1,42,000 nurses. On behalf of them, I welcome you to this great program. I know there is 1,000 participants who entry, but there are a lot of people who relay this program in the classroom for the students also, because we thought the students should watch these sort of personalities, icons, and they should have the role model in front of their eyes, how I should become, who are all there in my profession. So these are the things we fail to grow or nurture with our profession. So that is why we thought this has to come in. That is how last program we invited from North India, Ms. Mritula Saikia Madam, and now you are with us. It is and we are very, very happy for that you consented for this program and allotted such time for us. I know it is a very busy time. You told me already there is exams are going on. I know as a dean how much you must be having responsibility. Thank you, madam. And let me come to my point of view, like why it made me to think about this program. That is World Nursing Report 2020. 3 points they highlighted. One is to make the nursing to visibility. You need to create leaders. The first and foremost point. The second point, gender equality. And we should give the leadership training. So these three really, there are other things are there, but these three really, spoke to me directly. And I thought, why we don't, like when I thought whom I have grown lot of leaders, but people doesn't know. Like Selva Titus ma'am, only maybe CMC people and few examiners you have gone around the state will be knowing. But my students, the biggest community of my students, now almost every year we have 15,000 students admission in Tamil Nadu. That means we have around 90,000 students are there on watching this platform, and this is going to be a real stimulus. And the nursing leaders can do wonders. This is what I want to convey the meaning, because the simple quote I always like from John F. Kennedy is, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. So I'm sure I have been with madam, and I have been associated with madam, and we talk much, and she always never kept her learning coming down. When she gives me any work or anything, she would have done 101% homework, to give me that topic. So I have observed her that learning. So ma'am, I think I have called the right person, because leadership always need a learning. I think that is there, and your actions always inspires others. So if your actions inspire others and you really become a leader, and I am very happy Sudha read the quote, which I always put it on my table. Leadership is not a position or a power. It is the action which shows, which is the very, very close quote to my heart. And I'm happy that I could invite you on this day, that you could talk about your leadership journey. It is not like I don't want a lecture over here. It should be just like a casual. People should know what are all the hurdles you face, what are all the challenges you faced in your career, how you reached to the higher pedestal of today, and how much higher pedestal you reached in India. And after your retirement, also you have been invited into such a high position. This is what I want to portray over here. And once again, I don't want to take much of a time. I would like to give more of a time to madam. Thank you once again for coming over to our platform in this virtual platform and going to share your views. Once again, thank you on behalf of the Tamil Nadu Nurses and Midwives Council, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Annie.
And today we have with us Professor Dr. Selva Titus Charco, who has completed her BSc Nursing from CMC Vellore College of Nursing and MSc from CMCH again, and advanced training in oncology and hematology and PhD in hematology. And Madam has started her career as a nurse, a tutor, and has held various positions in College of Nursing CMCH Vellore and Apollo Hospitals, Dhaka, and currently holding the post of Dean and Professor in Nursing. Madam has received many awards, like in 1992, she has held the first position in clinical specialty and in education, and second position in the research and dissertation. In 2012, Madam has received from the Board of Nursing Education during the centenary celebration from Board of Nursing Education, South India Board, and the Emmanuel PhD Award from College of Nursing CMCH Vellore. Madam was also an executive member and director of WHO Global Network of the Collaborating Center for Nursing and Midwifery, and has affiliations both with national and international level, and a PhD examiner, and has undergone training in Australia on a high fidelity simulation learning, distance education, participative and interactive learning in the University of Washington, USA, and a student and staff exchange learning, University of Kansas, and part research scholarship training, University of Pennsylvania, simulation learning from University of Coimbra, Portugal, systematic review of research, University of Nottingham, oncology from Scotland, Örebro University, advanced training, oncology and hematology, Australia, and has also has done research and involved evidence-based practices in hematology nursing, oncology nursing, critical care nursing, palliative care nursing. Has published many articles and papers in both national, international conferences and in papers also. Madam is also a member of national and international committees, and like director of WHO Collaborating Center for Nursing and Midwifery, various positions in foreign and Indian universities, and is also a member of various organizations like NSS, Red Cross, India Blind Association, Vellore Good Samaritan Welfare Society, MPKG Pannai Vellore, Women's Redressal CMC Vellore, a member of various professional bodies like Alumni Association of India, TNI, Nurses League CMI, Nursing Research Society of India, Oncology Nursing Association of India, Association of Nurse Executives India. A breathtaking CV, and we are really proud to have you with us today, Madam. And over to you, Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Ma'am, it is really inspirational, your CV, and you too, ma'am. The most awaited, yes, ma'am. The most awaited session starts now. The speaker is ready, and the questions are ready, and the audience is also ready. Without further delay, we move on to the session.
Could I just say a word before you start?
Please.
I was thinking we forgot to give that timing.
I just want to first of all appreciate how the gesture of inviting me. I'm most humbled to be invited to speak as a leader. And I don't know all the attributes that Sudha spoke or Annie spoke from her experience. I deserve them, but I can only say that I have done something as a leader. But I can only say that it has been a wonderful journey. If I put it as a leader, it's been a wonderful journey of experience. And I want to say, as Annie said, you're not in a position, you are in a journey of leading something along with others. So that is something that I've learned when I have been a leader. So I'm going to speak from my heart, what I have learned. And as it's not going to be a textbook knowledge, it may not have all the management principles or leadership principles, but it has been a journey of how my life had turned to be a leader when I didn't even look for it or sought for it. One thing that before I start, I want to say to every young person who's on the process of leadership or who are going to become leader, you're not going to think that you're going to be a leader. Remember that. it will come. When it is due time, it will come and you will have to execute it. So you have to cultivate this leadership qualities in you, even from the young age of being available for anything. And that really builds you up as a leader. So with that point of note, I just want to once again thank you, Annie, Tamil Nadu Nurses Midwives Council, and a whole body of nursing students and college teens and working people and faculty for this great honor of being here on your platform. And of course, ECHO for coordinating it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We move on to the questions, ma'am.
Yes, sure.
Ma'am, the first question to you: was entry into your nursing your choice? Why or how did you choose nursing as your career partner? Because everyone has different reasons.
Yes. Well, the first, if I may first answer only the first part, I don't want it to be negative, but no, it was not my career choice. But I wanted to tell you that it was directed from above. Why I would say that is because you're asking, and every opportunity that I get, I always witness. I was born in a Hindu family and I met the Lord Jesus Christ when I was in school. The only thing that directed me was that I want to study in a Christian institution. And that was the only reason of course, I was a very bright student. I was best outgoing in the college. I applied various places. I actually got into medicine in Coimbatore Medical College. In my days, there were not many private colleges and so on. So I just applied with my marks and I already got into medical college. But I wanted to be somewhere where it is a Christian institution, because in my days, the last, my batch was the last which had 11th standard. After that, it was pre-university. So I came to Coimbatore, Krishnamal, for 1 year for PUC. And I felt the uncomfortableness of studying in a non-Christian institution. I think it was just a God-given experience for me to make up my mind what I need to do. But then there were some Christian friends and family who directed. I went and expressed my faith and they told me that was, and my father was not keen to educate me into any BSc, BA, because he thought that was just, it's just hanging around. So these people said, if you join this particular profession called BSc in nursing, you have a job immediately. So it's not like other BSc. So my only aim was to be in a Christian institution. So I applied for medicine there also. Of course, I didn't make it, but I was one of the 4 in my class in 1978. You know my age now, quite long back, 78. 4 in my class were open candidates and I got it. But having said that, was career nursing a career of your choice? Yes, today, yes. I have not regretted back even once for choosing this profession. So I just want to tell each one of you, it may not be your choice. It may be your parents' choice. It may be a circumstantial choice. It can be a friend's or maybe a circumstance where your parents cannot afford to put you into something, but make it your choice. Make it your choice. And that's how I came in. And I can tell you even one, I don't think I would have ever made a good doctor. I tell my husband also, nursing runs within me. It's just my passion today. And I always have reflected back. Even my children have asked my father, because he got so angry with me for not joining medicine. In those days, you can imagine, and I've always told, and my father also has said, I don't think she would have made anything better, but she is in what she is today. So I just want to say, if you ask the first question, no. But if you ask me now, yes, that's my answer. Yes. I hope I've inspired somebody. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's a message for many of the students, especially the first year students, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Make it your choice.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question to you, what were the challenges had you faced as a nursing student, which the current generation students are free from?
I think challenges are there whether it is then or now. That's the point, you know. It shouldn't be like, you know, what challenges we face. And I think as older people, always when we go to class, we'll say in our days, this was not like this. In our days, this was not like that, you know. And as parents also, we say to our children, you know, our parents didn't do this for us and you are able to get. Challenges are there every time. But to answer to your question, I think there are some things which are advantage which are available now, which we didn't have. It's of course a natural growth of the world or growth of a system. For example, I'll tell you, we only had one book. We didn't have any other books, and you have to go to library for any other book, and you have to book yourself to get that book to write a care note or case study, because your teacher will expect at least minimum 4 or 5 books to write. Today, everything is on the tip of their finger. You know, you just have to Google, all e-library books are available. What a challenge it was then to go and, you know, be early enough to book for that book. I mean, if you're talking about nursing in that context, okay, that's one thing. Okay, I tell you one other funny one. We never had syringes and needles which we can just give injection and throw it away.
Yes.
I'll give you one example. As a final year student, we are put in a maternity ward alone, okay? And we have to give this vitamin K injection to all the children. And invariably, we lose those small needles. So you know what we used to do in Vellore, in Gandhi Road, there is a shop which is keeping needles only for students to buy. So we already buy enough and keep in our pocket, because Sister Shyamala in our ward, she will not let you go if you don't give the count of syringes or needles. So if we lose 2, we give 2. So we had to buy for it and keep it. Today, you just take everything and throw it away. So, you know, that was one challenge at that time. I know I can go on. I'll tell you one other important challenge, you know. College of Nursing was the only college in Tamil Nadu in Vellore. The only MMC came when I finished in 1982. And I remember going as a tutor for the inauguration. We have no benchmark. We have no setting standards on or looking up to somebody, or where do I stand to evaluate where we are. As a nursing student, as a college, as an educational institution, we didn't have any benchmarking in the state. Today, Annie, I don't know, you have so many.
Yeah, 200 colleges.
So if you ask me challenges, that were challenges, but it is for that time. You understand? We thought we were the only ones and we were so happy. Okay, we didn't think it as a challenge, but today when you look back, it's a big gift that we have. So as the provisions increase, the responsibility increases. How do we strive to keep moving forward? Every situation is a challenge. If you ask today's nursing student, they'll say we have plenty of challenge. I'll give you one example. I was telling my daughter something and I was telling her, you know, my parents didn't allow all this. So you know what, she turned around to me and said, well, your parents couldn't afford, Ma, but my parents are able to afford. And I'm thinking she's talking about me only. You know, that's what it is. So I just want to say, when you talk about challenges, there are plenty which each one perceives for that time. May not perceive it as a challenge, but take every challenge as a learning point for you to move forward. I hope I've answered.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, from your resume, I understand that you have you have undergone a course on advanced oncology and hematology training in the University of Adelaide, South
Yes.
Australia. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
drives you to get specialized in oncology nursing?
You know, my life, everything has been circumstance and situational. It's never been my, you know, the one time that I felt I have to do this or something like that. My husband, who wanted to be trained as an oncologist, was going to Australia to train. All right. And my way of going to do oncology nursing, I never liked anything where, you know, every time patient, at that point, I thought everybody who becomes a cancer patient dies. And I don't want to be in a situation where I face all the time someone dying. Okay. But I want to tell you, it was circumstantial because CMC needed somebody to be trained in oncology for taking the oncology services forward. You know, if you remember, I don't know, I think in Loretta Heidgerken in education, it's written, any education should be societal need. You know, one of the reasons why you do it is societal need. Well, this was a society's need. So always it need not be yours. It can be a society's need. It can be an institutional need. An institutional need is a society's need. So that's why I went to Australia to train in oncology. But I can tell you today, again, just as much as I said, nursing runs into my blood, oncology runs into my blood. I cannot be without it. I cannot think of anything else to be. Because if I can make a life of a person, I've heard this answer being spoken by my husband. I'll use that analogy. I'll borrow his thoughts. I remember once somebody asked him, why did you choose this profession which, you know, it's like, for example, a surgeon, a patient gets better and gets away and walk, and they're so much grateful to you, gratitude. But this, all the time, you're already facing, you know, a person who's already been like destined, he's going to die or he's going to end his life. Then you know what he told him? Who knows that the person who's diagnosed with the hypertension is not going to die? Who knows the person who's ever diabetes is not going to die? Or who knows today I get out and I reach my office or not, whether I have something else on the way and I'm going to die. But here's someone who's been told that there is a relative end for you. If you can rectify your life in terms of what you're doing, correct, mend relationships, do something that you've not done and prepare the way for them, I think that is the biggest gift that you have. And making even sometimes death so comfortable is something. So if you ask me today, I love my profession of what I'm in an oncology nurse. That's why I went there, because that's the only thing I could train there, and because it was needed for the society. But in spite of that, my blood is always doing critical care, you know, quick, this, you know, quick decision making. That's why I chose hematology nursing out of oncology nursing. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Ma'am, you have also undergone a training in simulation in James Cook University. What are your views about utility of simulation in India?
See, one thing I wanted to tell you, we should not get too carried away by what people say, you know, in terms of simulation. Why I am saying is, I think sometimes we get into a wrong connotation, right? Is simulation an alternative for real learning? No. Okay, I want to put that very clear. There's nothing like real learning, okay? But why West has taken simulation so much into their life of making it reality, and even in this country, they have a lot of rules and policies and you know, laws which restricts a person who's learning to be practicing on a live patient. And they are bound by legal issues. So they have realized that do everything on something that is in a non-real life situation and learn as much as. And when you come to a reality, when you are eligible, when you are permitted, you practice on the patient. But our scenario is different. Even today, you know, patients, we should be so grateful. They give their life into our hands to practice. So don't for once mistake think that, you know, simulation is an alternative to real life learning. But having said that, one thing we must remember on the point of student learning, you permit student to learn in a non-threatening life situation in your simulation. You make it actually as real as possible. That's what I saw in James Cook University. It was a hospital of patient coming from emergency, seeing the doctor, being triage, taken into theater, surgeries are there, and then you know you take care of a patient, you plan, everything can be fed into the high fidelity mannequin, and the person and the simulator will show exactly what will happen in the clinical scenario. So the student is given the opportunity, if I may say, why they call student, they can make mistakes and they learn, right? So they are permitted to make mistake in a simulation place, but not permitted to make a mistake in the clinical area, which is a live, where it's like you and me lying there. So that is what I would say my learning. And I find here, for example, we have now come up where we have what we call, they're using artificial intelligence and using virtual patient learning. Patient who will speak, who will give you answers, who will show emotions, who you can collect history, everything, like you can put questions and set. And this is artificial intelligence of learning. And then you can practice on your high fidelity mannequin. So world has grown where you are given a real life situation in a simulation center, but don't use that as an alternative to be practicing, because in our country, we are having the privilege of exposing our students to clinical situations even now. So that's just my answer to that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Your statement is really an eye-opener for many of us, ma'am, for the educators.
Yes.
The next question to you, ma'am. What are your views about credit-based curriculum in nursing? Because the current INC syllabus has introduced credit-based curriculum, ma'am. So what are your views and how can we utilize?
Let me tell you what I did at the current situation. We have not used credit-based system in India, right? In Vellore, we have been stipulated hours, courses, first year, you can't deviate. I personally believe, I think we have to grow out of it. We have to have freedom, okay? There should be freedom to make your own curriculum, but with the stipulation of credits for certain broad allocation of courses. Like, for example, I'll tell you from here. In our curriculum, they tell you that your total credits have to be this. And then they tell you it should have this component as general education learning. You can allocate this much. And in that, some of it, the Ministry of Education will mandate that credit has to be there. I'll give you one example. Last year, we are supposed to give 21 credits for general education. Now, in that, what will you have? You can have English, you can have ethics, you have professionalism, you have, what else can I say? For example, they have behavioral science, and those are called general education. You have to have one life science, but they brought in one course called innovation and entrepreneurship. They've brought in one thing called information technology with artificial intelligence, mandatory general education course. This every student should have. Why? Because they think that this group of people who are learning have to be equipped with that, because the current world is working on technology. And you have to have information technology flowing through everywhere. And they tell you to give the credits, distributed. So they give you freedom. And then you can give many electives and which they want to choose out of that as 1 or 2 or whatever it may be. And they give you core nursing credits. It's this much. And it's up to you to give whatever you want. Ultimately, and of course, biomedical sciences like anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, microbiology, and so on. Ultimately, the total should be 120. But now, recently, in the last year, they have brought in what they call competency-based education, because they realize at the end, outcome-based education is what is going to be serving the world universally. And they have said in the last 3rd and 4th year, this many credits have to be there for clinical practice. So when I say about credit-based, don't translate all your hours to credits and still stipulate this is what you do in first year, second year, third year. You have to have freedom. At the end, whether it is this university or that university, all the people who pass from nursing graduation must be able to take an exit examination and get their licensure. And you're prepared as a generalist. Now, your study plan for your university, what you have planned, has to be approved by the Ministry of Education when the external review team comes and sees what is your plan. Do you have the facility for that? Do you have the faculty for that? Do you have your clinical exposure? Do you have your simulation? And do you have everything? Another thing they expect also, I'll tell you, when you plan credit in a course, for example, say I take medical surgical, when I plan one medical surgical, 1 or 2, because that's what we are used to in India, what is my total credit? How many credits would I give it as theory? How many credits will I give simulation? And that has to be simulation. How many credits of that I will give it in my practicum? That's what it is. And I think it's the best because it gives you a broad opening. It also gives you freedom of educating your student. So I just don't know how INC is coming with the credit. If they're going to just translate your hours to credit and say, this is what you do, and put you into one box and say nothing you can move, then I think we are in a bit of a restriction. But otherwise, I think credit base is important because I know, for example, from, I remember in Vellore, when transcripts used to be asked from Western places, they ask you to transfer our hours to credits and give it to them based on how they calculate. So this is my answer. I don't know if I answered you well, but I find this system very good at the moment here.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we are in the process of implementing this new INC syllabus in the next academic year, ma'am. We need to work on it. So your views are very important for us, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you. Ma'am, there are next set of questions which will be facilitated by Dr. Annie Raja. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just put a small input here with Selva?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Sure.
Sorry for the interruption. I
No
think like when we were all studying between 84 to 88 under Madras University, the INC used to give curriculum. The syllabus is being framed by the university. Even after establishing MGR Medical University, only the curriculum being like components have been given. The syllabus is framed by the university. But I don't know, on the long run, this policy of making curriculum has been forgotten. INC started giving syllabus. I don't know where it went wrong, and people have to, the people sitting in the education committee, I think they have to change their views and do it. I think our leaders who are there, elders who have been pioneers, I think they had a great thought and they made it that way. And I think somewhere we have just slipped in. I think this leadership program should give them idea somewhere, somebody to carry this message, because when the syllabus being published, and in Tamil Nadu Nursing Council is the one, our expert committee said that we have to make this point to the INC. Please do give the curriculum, don't give the syllabus. I hope the people who are here, some of them may be in that committee, we wrote this point to the Indian Nursing Council. And also, as you said very well, I really appreciate that point. We should have the freedom between not simply go to the credit point and the simulation. Somewhat it is given like that, but again, we are functioning within the square marks with the columns and things, okay? So I think we need to take
yeah, Anya, if I may reiterate what you said, you hit the nail. Because in my experience, when revision of curriculum happens in the Indian Nursing Council, what happens is we don't know who's actually doing it. You suddenly have some people, maybe same people keep going, I don't know. But ultimately, it is just decided and one day you get your curriculum. And from where's the feedback taken that they say once in 5 years, you've taken feedback from all those who've gone through and how they're performing. I don't see any data which are shown to change in. I still remember, I'll tell you one example, I'll tell you. I remember the nursing education course used to be in 7th semester or so, Suddenly it came to second year. And they themselves have not learned, and how are they going to teach nursing education in second year and doing practice? And we were like, how did this change? But we have no way say. You just follow the box which is given and you create pass. I'm not in any way saying that our nurses are doing badly, because of our Indian nurses are one of the very good ones wherever they are. But it's a time to question, are we still relevant?
Yes.
Now, the relevancy is slowly going away, and the preparation is not sound. So I think we need to reflect carefully how we are doing. For example, I'll tell you, when I did what we call is, if you're making any change here, they call it substantive change in your curriculum. When we make it, we have to apply to the Ministry of Education, and they look through, and for every change that you make within that credit that they have given, you have to have sound justification why you have given. And they have to be accepting. The external review team has to be accepting. Only then you can bring in that small change of any credits that even one course you add or delete, you have to give substantive change. So don't think the freedom is like, you can play up with anything. It's not
Yes.
like that. My friend is coming, I'll make her to accept my credit. No, it doesn't work like that. It goes internationally. So I find it's too late for me to learn now. Actually, I feel I wish I had known these things and I could have executed in our own country. So in this platform, if I can bring that knowledge, I find this really interesting. I was in an industry meeting yesterday. Actually, I was the only dean who was called to be in another university, which has got branches all over, because they think you are relevant. And I found one course put as elective, which I felt it has to be a mandatory elective. And when I was saying in the forum, and they were saying, give me a justification, and I was giving all the possible justification, and the chancellor was saying, I think we have to take this into consideration. So that should be the freedom of expression, and that should be the way we learn together in making. I think we need to have a real vision change in our education.
Yes,
Somehow I feel that is lost in our system. And it saddens me that, my times are over, but I feel that somebody will get insight and spirited to do that and bring in a massive change.
True, ma'am. Well said by both the leaders, ma'am.
Keep our fingers crossed, and Lord will do it.
Yes.
Priti, thank you, Sudha, for the time.
Right. Yes, ma'am. So it's for dear principals, let your gamma and delta wave, work faster, take in all these messages, do something good for the profession. So the next question to our speaker.
Madam, when we say CMCH service nursing side, everyone knows there is a dual role. So we would like to know, and you have set an example and you are really pioneers in that. So can you elaborate on the dual role in nursing service at CMCH Vellore?
Actually, Annie, I may sound a bit rude, but I'm sorry to say this, when you say dual role, I never have understood it. Like, when I was in India, when I go there, they'll ask, are you in service or are you in education? I find it very funny to say that, I used to say, why you are asking this question? And that's why you must have seen everywhere I go, I will speak on integration. You understand? Because I can't think of, I'm not saying I'm great. I think I was privileged to be in a system like that. I was blessed to be in a system like that. I could not think two ways of looking at nursing, because I tell you one thing. These are married. It's like husband and wife. Education and service is like husband and wife. You cannot have a family without one to the other. Each are vital. So my experience of trying to, being in a system, I have not seen anything differently. I've seen this from the beginning. When I was a student, the same teacher who taught me in the clinical. I could never go and say my teacher didn't teach. Okay, what is being taught is what I was done. There was no artificiality. I didn't have to carry things to practice in a different setup. It's the same place they taught me. So, and the same thing I wanted to execute it for my students as well. And I have ensured that this is in my blood, because I've kept this so strong in my mind that I have tried balancing both to the best of my ability. And people ask what portion of it is education and what portion of it is in service. It varies upon time, and it varies upon where you are in your career ladder. When I was a junior lecturer, that's when it really matters. I'll tell you one thing. I took masters in nursing 10 years later, though I was one of the very good students in my BSN batch. You know why? Because I had this fear it will take me away from patients. Thank God in those days, 10 years didn't matter. I still achieved whatever I want. Well, I'll tell you why. People never listen to you because you are not a master's person. When I say listen this, officially listened to your point of thing. The masters people will come and take your suggestion and they will go and present it in the meetings. You can never be in a meeting. So I wanted to put my thoughts, and I realized that God was telling me, no, Selva, you have to do masters if you have to be heard and be making a change in a position. So everything is based on what your qualification is. That's why I did it. But I want to tell you one thing is that, so as a junior lecturer, you spend 90% of your time in the clinical and maybe 10% on something in the educational point. But as it moved, I was spending 50-50. But when I became a dean, or I was, a senior position, I was hardly spending clinical time, but I was spending more time on other hats like administrator and teacher and so on. But one thing, I found my medical team, hematologists, they will never make a decision, major decision without me. And they will say, Selva has to be here. That made me understand that the contribution of the service that we do is so important and vital. So that's how I balanced between, did I face challenge? Yes, it was, because you have to take all your preparation home, you have to take all your correction home. And thankfully, I had my mom who managed everything at home. Not everybody has that. I didn't have to worry about my children or their lunch box or their break box or their uniform or my gardener or anybody. They thought I'm a foreigner in my house. My mother was the paid person. So I think I'm blessed that way. But I can tell you, this is the experience of most of the people who have been in Vellore. You have to balance it, because I tell you, I cannot be a good teacher if I'm not practicing. I can't be a sound oncology teacher if I'm not knowing what's happening in my field today. I cannot be a good practitioner if I don't have the knowledge which is there as well. So that's why I don't know if I answered you well. In the few minutes I'm trying to say is, please make sure that you have your sound practice going. I have seen in Australia, the educators have 2 days of clinical compulsory. They come and work as clinical staff if you have to be an educator, to see that that balance happens. And that's coming up in many parts of the world now, because they're totally out of the clinical field. So I don't think we should read. Somehow we feel in our country, we have this hierarchy, and teachers on the ivory tower, the others are down. I'll tell you, look at it this way. As you said, I've traveled everywhere. People feel so proud to be working in NHS. People feel so proud to be working in Ministry of Health here. How many of our people can be so proud to working in government? They only work in government because there's perks and nothing else. So we have to make change in our system, that we take practice as big thing, Each one of them have to feel that, okay, I understand, each of us have our passion. One may be so skewed to teaching, one may be so skewed to being a director. Our education has to be balanced. Every person who's a senior clinical nurse has to be having the highest qualification in that particular field. That's where another thing I want to, anyway, I think you will bring the question, what about our masters in program? Yeah. I hope I've answered to you.
Yes, ma'am. Already you said there should be an integration between the education and the practice. Any reforms can it be suggested from your side with your vast experience, so that we can have a better integration between education and practice, madam?
Yes, as I just said, the whole world is looking for outcome-based curriculum. Here they call it competency-based education. I tell you, our chancellor here, he's a medical educationist. He's a pediatric surgeon. Why I kind of fell in love of joining here in one way is I would never kill my soul and join somewhere. Of course, as I said, my attraction was to be with my children. But, he's one who believes that practical is equally important to education. So I have a university hospital inside my campus, 450 beds. I came and changed the curriculum where the students are exposed into the clinical area from the very first year. It's in walking distance. And he wants that to happen. I'm just trying to say is that what is the main change that we have to focus is that we must remember that we need to be relevant when you come out. So when you want to come out, there's a huge mismatch in our education and practice in our country. So we have to bring in that. Why? Because we are facing this question of quality in everything. You go to buy a piece of cloth, people ask, what's your quality? You go produce a profession, they say, what's your quality? How are they making quality? There are certain indexes and yardsticks. Are you fitting into everything? So there's a big requirement for well-trained nurses, relevant to the society, technically sound and knowledgeably sound. You know, we will ask this question, does technology take you out of, you know, nursing and all that? That is what even I thought. If I become technologically oriented, I will know technology today is helping you to aid. It cannot take you away from your hand touch of whatever you are having. We are a country with 1.2 billion population. What is our ratio of nurses that we have? Why is everyone running out? Is it just a ticketing to go anywhere else? And this is where this question comes. We have to look at our curriculum to be relevant, to make it more competency outcome education. There needs to be a huge reformation if we want to do. Maybe a credit-based system is a good idea, but ensure at the end, it's not just passing, have I passed med-surg, have I passed this, have I passed this? Do I become a good competent nurse, which is education based also to see your skill and that you are a relevant nurse at the end of it, to the current societal technologically sound nurse that you have to be, plus with ethics and values and everything. This is what I think it's a reformation. If you may ask me that, how you achieve it, it should be thought of in general, in the broad, but also specific to your own institution and to your own organization.
Okay, ma'am. Well said about that, madam. And with your experiences in Gulf, and what can be the inputs from your Gulf country, your experience can be implemented or can be conveyed to the nurses in India?
As much as I said in this last couple of years that I have been here, I came in a time, what they do is they call it as re-accreditation of like our inspection, you understand? Re-accreditation of a program, what you have to do. But you know what I found? In India, when I was in Vellore, I take this big seat, you know, I'm in CMC Vellore as a dean, and people like you come and say, ma'am, you have everything. What are we inspecting? Whether they come from Tamil Nadu Council, they come from university or anywhere. They come and say, ma'am, you have everything. What are we checking, ma'am? Already I am in this high pedestal. Oh yeah, I am the king and the queen and I don't have any cheat. But what we forget is there's nothing called self-analysis. You know, I had to write here when I came. They gave you an accreditation 4 years back. 4 years, they have a certain, the Ministry of Education has got broad standards. Okay, under these broad standards, there are certain substandards. You have to give evidence for every year what you did with that standard. Whose benchmarking did you do? Which benchmarking? Regional, or is it national, or is it international? If so, where are you? Student attrition rate, student graduation rate, student pass rate, and you know, like that, so many things. Student satisfaction. Faculty means faculty evaluation, self-appraisal, faculty student evaluation, faculty development programs, the researches that they have done. So for every year I have to show, okay, now I found there was something lacking. What is my action plan for next year? Did that action plan achieve? I have to show the measuring tool. I have to show evidence that it has achieved. And I have to write a self-study. I tell you what, my thesis was not so hard. This was hard. But you know me, you know, once I take up, I'll just make life miserable for everybody. I made life miserable for everybody and got it through. But I want to tell you, I'm so proud to say this, but in a humble way. Our institution organization went for 9 programs at the same time for accreditation. Ministry of Education put it as cluster 1 and cluster 2 with different programs. And you know, the commissioner in the exit meeting, when we have all the international faculty from all over the world, because they were online, and the people from the commission was there. One of the commissioners said, I would fail in my duty if I do not say the self-study that was written for nursing was the best. Though it is one of the very junior colleges. I'm not saying that it is my own ability. It is, I think I want to give credit to my institution, which made me think, but I wish I could do that then. Because I was already there, I'm doing well. If my students all passed, I'm very happy that everything is fine. I don't know if everything is fine. Have I studied it? Have I found out what are the improvements that I have to make? Always I have to set high standards. That is something that I want to tell that we need to do in our profession there. Don't feel like, example, I know Tamil Nadu State Nursing Council is one of the best in the country. I am so happy and proud, but set higher standards than that. Go above. Do something like this. This is something that nobody would have thought. I really want to appreciate Annie for the novel idea of getting one's own experiences shared. There's a lot of value in it. Bring people and try to see what more can you do. How can you become relevant to the country? We in our country don't have the mindset to take anything from anybody. If one is doing well, we only see how I can put you down and rather than not. That's not what's happening here. I want to tell you, this is one of the new colleges. And because of that, because of my contribution to this, thankfully, I was also involved in this competency framework that we did for our country, UAE. And they found the sound insight you give. I got invited, I told you yesterday, for that other one, the industry meeting. So you use yourself in the best way and don't expect anything, and you'll see that things come to you and you need to make a change. Another thing I want to tell all leaders, young leaders, sometimes old leaders, or all already on the process, you will say, why should I do this? I'm not the dean. I'm not the the person who makes the decision. I'm only a teacher. I can only do this much. Please go out of your comfort zone and make a change. Bring your insights. And when you do that, automatically leadership will come to you. That's my experience. Don't pinpoint, let her do, she's a leader. Why should I think for her all the time? Don't think like that. Always think that you have an opportunity, grab it and do it. And sometimes you're not even thinking you're doing it, and you will find that that made a sense. Whatever is in your heart and what do you think with your sound ethics and values, and which brings from maybe your faith, express it and it will bring change.
Thank you, madam. And we need to do a continuous self-analysis for us to grow also, personally as well as professionally.
Professionally, yes.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to know the standards. How do you feel that the standards of nursing in India is compared to other developed countries? Where are we? And how can we raise it from your experience?
Actually, when Annie, you were asked, Annie, right? Annie,
yes,
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I know, Annie, when you were asking this, there was one thought in my mind all the time when I was in Vellore. I want to, because I've heard because I'm from Vellore, I've heard all our CMC graduates are doing well all over the world. And wherever I travel, I find them, they are in higher places, they are doing extremely well. But I've always had this, I want to see in 10 years from after their graduation, where are they? In 20 years, where are they? What changes have they made in the system, or, in a small system, big system, whatever God has placed them into be, where are we? I've always thought, but I have always, somehow it has become, it was too huge for me to even venture. And whenever I raise this idea, people thought, oh, this ma'am has nothing better. We've got enough and more to do. What more we want? They're all doing well, or are assuming. Not everyone, but so one thing I want to say is, if you look at Indian nurses are doing well. I'm not saying even today, in spite of all the dilution that is happening, we are still one of the best. But how to raise the bar is this. Start looking at where we are, reviewing it, Annie, you're in the right place. You're in the council. In your accreditation, ask them to give you a study on what has happened between the last to the now. Because if you look at our accreditation system, we have a form. Have you got enough teachers? Yes. Have you got enough classroom? Yes. Have you got this? Yes. You got this? Yes. Give me your faculty profile? Yes. That's it. We are not looking at what we did from last to now. You can't remain and be complacent about it. You have to set standard from where to where. Have they got a strategic plan for their institution in the next 5 years? Yes, today 5 years is too long. Sometimes you have to change. But have you got anything like that? That's the only way the standard of nursing can increase. Each one will have to do it at that level. And it's not at the council level. But unless we have a yardstick to measure, we don't move. Most of us are like that. Children are like that. We are like that. That's my experience. And I as I told you, I've been thinking, I wish I knew all this before. Whereas I took a lot of complacency when I remember when I was a dean, I said, oh, I had 15 inspections. Oh, it's a big thing, you know. And every time it's like, it's okay. They all come and say, ma'am, you have everything. At the end of the day, we have so many papers to take back and so on and so forth. But what have I done? What's my aim? Did I go with my strategic plan of the institution? Have I done that? These are things that I think will definitely increase the standard of nursing in India.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm speaking above your head, but this
No,
is
it's a
my...
I think, ma'am, it's a very good thought you put in my mind, because nowadays everyone goes for NAC accreditation, even individual institution. That
Yes.
gives lot of input and give them a set standard, analyzing, as you said, from last year to this year, what have you done? Those things
Yeah.
are already. I bought the book and kept it for
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I have to instill this idea to the colleges so that we can have the like a grading system, you know, NAC A plus institutions, what are the best institutions, A plus plus and B and all that, you know. Maybe that way I think NAC is doing, but what about nursing? So
Yeah.
we need to have a talk with them, and we have
Them, and then yes,
yeah,
yes.
definitely. It's very good suggestion. Thank you for that suggestion. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think the next question also you have answered, like it is very, very important that we need to have a self-analysis and whether we have fulfilled the strategy planning, I mean, what the institution has, whether we have fulfilled their mission and vision. And I think we have to work out.
Yes.
And as Madam said, we have to have the accreditation on a continuous process, and we grade our institutions. So thank you very much,
Yeah.
Madam. And over to Sudha for the next set of questions.
Annie, if I may just add one more point which comes to my mind is, you know, when we talk about the gaps in India, we also have to do, here I have found, they always take employer surveys, population survey of the nurses that you're prepared. You understand? All those insights are that's something, I know we are a big institution, so be it. Try to have your alumni diary. Where are they doing? How are they doing? This has to become, that is one of the mandate in the accreditation process. I have to show the survey that I did last year and their feedback from them. So you're keeping connect with the people whom you produced. Is the product still useful? Does that product need refinement? That means, are they upskilling? What privileges have you given to your alumni to come and upskill on that? That's another thing in gap in India. We need to ensure that we are upskilling our student, not just by the credit. If she's working in that area, she needs to take some specialization in that so that she'll become relevant to that part. You understand? And the same thing need to be done later also. So these are something that, another thing I also found here, the private and the public and you know, partnerships that they have. You know, in our country, private is the one which is giving 80% of patient care. You have to accept that.
Yes.
What is the partnership between the government and the private in terms of providing this care? Society, it doesn't matter who you are. They are looking at how you're providing. So the government is making policy. The government involved people or organizations are making policy. How much is the inclusion of the private into it? The partnership that we have. We have to accept our societal, our geographical reality. And then we have to work together. How can we initiate it? It may look as a big thing and just look as an impossibility, but start somewhere. I saw that here. You know, I'm from a private institution here, and which I found the passion is that, you know, they are very clinically oriented. But, you know, the involvement the ministry has with me because of the contribution or the institution does is very important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take you through next set of questions, ma'am. We always happy to ask from the successful person, what are your secrets of success? Please share with us your secret of success so that we can also just follow.
Sudha, if you ask me secret of my success, I know I cannot just say one thing, but you know what, I always will, I don't know if it's wrong, but I always think, you know, oh God, I didn't do well. That's why I think like, you know, I should have done this. Like I was telling you, I should have done that there. I should have done this here. I should have been known. So I think that's my secret, because then because of that, I strive next. You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
That's one thing that
aspiring for the better. Aspiring for
always
the better.
aspiring for the better way to put it. And the
Yes,
other
ma'am.
thing is, in me, you know, I have this, I never give up. I don't know if it's a wrong thing or right thing. My faculty or my staff who worked in Vellore will say, ma'am never gives up on us, but she creates hell for us because of that. You know, I'll never say, well, you know, this person cannot change. I can't do anything, but I'll not give up. I will say, no, I'm not giving up. And then I, you know, make hell out of her that she was forced to do it. So I think that's another thing. You can take it as a positive or a negative. I never give up on anything. And then
Yeah.
other thing that I have found is, because of my nature like this, I have found, I've used this analogy before also. I don't know if it's right to tell, but I'll tell you, I'm like a donkey. You understand? People who think that they can't do anything, they dump it on me and they'll think she'll die. That must have been the main objective. But somehow I'll fall into the pit, I'll shake the mud and I'll come out. And then they'll push it into something else. And then I found that my pit is full and I cannot fall anymore. So you can call that success. This is
Yes.
something that I have, you know, it's a bad way, but I can only tell you every privilege that was given to me, whether it was to put me down or whether it was given in the right sense, God has been my favor, and that's my success. I can tell you, He's been faithful. Okay.
That's your,
And I am very hardworking.
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not
That's
very
your,
intelligent. I tell my children I'm not very intelligent, and they'll say, Ma, this is the 200th time you are saying this. I'm not very intelligent, but I'm very hardworking and I never give up. And I have this type A personality, which is not good. These are things of my success, if you may call it.
that's your resilience and elasticity, ma'am. No,
Well, you
always
have
come back.
fantastic attributes to put it on, but I don't know if I deserve. I'm telling it, and this is and I'm very committed to my faith and my calling which God has given, because I'll get a conscious prick if I, you know, pass away my responsibility. I cannot say, I'll say, okay, no, forget this, I can't do. And 2 days later, I'll come back to it, because I'll say, no, God will somehow speak to me and say, Selva, don't throw it. It's your responsibility to do it. If you can't do it, nobody can do it. Like that, you know, so I just take it up. And that's my secret of success.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You have been the examiner for PhD program, ma'am. Could you critique on the quality of research in nursing?
I must say that this question, I must say that the PhD programs that I have looked at it, one was for NIMHANS and other places, they are very good. I have no doubt about it. It was quite good. It was very relevant and well done. But having said that, I want to say something beyond that, you know, if it might help everyone. What is the ultimate goal of any science or any learning? It's the best patient outcome. Am I correct? That's what we are doing. But unfortunately, in our country, PhD is done as an end product. Okay, that is the end product. You got it. Oh my God, I got it. That's it. Nothing more. That's our problem. Okay, there is where I find that we have to change our mindset. That is the beginning. That's the beginning. I'm telling myself, actually, I'm just telling you. And one more thing, somehow we don't take PhD science in areas of social relevance or societal need. We take something that is convenient for us and for the guide. Though we put it's societal need. We are not open enough to look what that is needed. I think that way I've been sound, because CMC asked me to do a PhD for bringing in infection right. It's a Pandora box. And you won't believe it was a 5 study. Yes. And I took 10 years to finish with all my other responsibility. But today PhDs are done over 3 or 4 years with 25 patients, and you got your PhD. And you think you ultimately reached. That's the problem in India. So what I'm trying to tell you is, it's a final degree, maybe, yes, but that's the beginning. And a PhD scholar must remember that that's the starting, and only a lifelong learner can produce new knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lifelong learner must keep supporting that new knowledge and grow in that knowledge. And that research utilization is a challenge in India. How many can openly and consciously say that the science that I found in research has been utilized well, or must have been done at that point and forgotten because we are not continuing to pursue on that? This is my take on that question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, again, your next question is about your blood oncology. What are the neglected areas in the care of patients and family members? From your observation, what could you reflect on, and what is your recommendation for the nurses? Because we study from textbooks. From your observation and experience, which is not available in the textbook, could you please share for us?
The first, I don't know how many are interested in oncology, but maybe it's applicable to other areas also. We think we are the healthcare providers of whatever the specialty they take. For example, oncology. I'm sorry, it's not. You are a part of the healthcare provider. Family members are the primary care providers, which is forgotten very often. See, they are in an unrealistic, we are putting unrealistic expectation on that family and the caregiver, whoever you call it. They don't know, they have no training, they have no ongoing support. What we do is only when they come to the hospital. What happens begin in oncology, nursing cannot happen only in the hospital. They're coming multiple times, they're coming till they live. How they're managing out there, the family coping with that and with this emotional status, with that illness, the physiological, the psychological, the physical nature of the people, what they go through is too much. And we have not addressed it at all, even to the court. Of course, West has done because they have a healthcare system which pays them everything and family can go and do that. But we have done only a quarter of things, despite the evidence that I want to bring this point. We are not the healthcare provider. We are not the only. We are only a quarter of that. Family is the primary caregiver, especially in an illness like oncology or hematology. What training do they have?
Yes.
Are you analyzing what they're going through? And how can we work around that? The minute the patient leaves the campus of the hospital, you're done with it. You forgot. Maybe once in a while you'll say you come and do bloods and do this. But what are they going through? We have not trained them. They are not qualified. Of course, they can't be qualified. But what kind of analysis have you done? What is the primary area we need to? I think we have not addressed that at all. That is something that saddens me. Of course, it's a system. It's always also finance, but somewhere we as nurses can take that up. You know, outside the hospital, looking after the family who's a primary care provider and training them to be able to match. Of course, palliative care are all doing. It's only palliative care, not the process of palliative care in our countries when you give up on the patient. Sorry, no. You know, they're still there in the system.
Yes.
Bringing them through. That is something that I find that we need, that huge lacunae which need to be addressed.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question, you have given a lot of inputs, but still with your permission, would you like to answer or with your permission?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, ma'am. So what are your advices for the young aspiring nurses in the process of becoming a leader? Though you have shared many points, anything would you like to answer?
What are the, say that question again?
What are your advices for the young aspiring nurses in the process of becoming a leader?
Yeah, first of all, don't think you're going to become a leader. Okay, but at the same time, be aware that you will be a leader.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my first advice. Don't think don't think, why I say don't think is, then you think only want to be a leader for everything. A leader is a servant. That's why my faith speaks, you understand? So don't think you're going to be a leader, but don't also say that you're never going to be a leader.
Yes, ma'am.
You will be a leader at certain level at every point. So yes, my main advice is take every opportunity that comes to you, whether it is within your responsibility or not within your responsibility, and do it to the best of your ability. And then you will find that you make a good leader.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
if you are meant to be, in the known caption of a leader, it will happen in its own time. Don't work towards that. It will come to you. Go out of your boundary and do it, and it will come to you. That's number one. Secondly, if you ask aspiring leader, they think, you have to be a person always willing to be open for anything. Always don't think that everything that you say is right. You can be wrong. You have to be a listener willing to take everything from anybody. And you make your choices of making the decision.
Yes.
Right? Don't, and another thing that, because you gave it to somebody to do something and it is not, it's always your responsibility, whoever you give. And your team is very important when you work. Now, you have a choice who have your children? No. Your children are your children. Who your team are working? No, you're not going to get one big day where you will find all refinement. You make your team. You work around and bring those ethics and values into it. Another thing I want to say is be true to yourself. Be very true to yourself. You have to be, I won't even say set an example, you live an example. If you want everybody to be at anything in the front, you have to be at the front first. If you want everybody to be punctual, you better be punctual. Integrity should be your top. It cannot be, wishy-washy. Because please understand, everybody is using a magnifying glass and looking at you every second. All the time. Even the smallest thing will speak loud. So you have to be somebody and willing to take risk. You have to be willing to take risks. Don't think that these are my things that comes to you. At the end of the day, it is you being a servant along with everybody. Don't think you're a leader. You just work around. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear my voice, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Yes, ma'am. What are your opinion about gender equality in nursing?
I am very, very positive about it. Let me tell you from day one. Okay, we were one of the colleges at that time, as you said, we were not one, we were the only one. We had men in male in the, what's it called, in general nursing. We didn't have for BS. I've been one who has been always saying, why are we making a division between men? We were like, I think it is because of our societal upbringing, Of course, nursing has been always that caring, and we think only mothers are caring and others are caring. You understand what I mean? Caring in the definition of whatever it is. But over the years, we must understand. I think our problem is because of, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, our problem is because of a societal placement of the gender. Men are considered, to be like there, and women are considered to be here, and so on. And that is why we keep asking this about gender equality. Yeah, naturally it exists in our country. But I think men, even in this part of the world, I find equal placement of gender in our profession. Understand? So yes, I don't think that we can restrict, but I think there are areas which are specific to them because of our societal concern. So, some areas they can work, some areas they're not, because of our societal acceptance of where they can work. So I find we should have, sometimes I find in emergency room, we need them because they're physically big, or in operation theater, they can, transfer quickly and physically available, and they're quick in their responses and so on, which we may not be able to do, or in an area where, patients are fully dependent and you need some help and so on. But I find that it's fine if they have that same aptitude like another person, another human being who's a female gender. They should be able to do nursing. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't threaten us that, they'll take over us and they will become above us and we can't say anything. That is because we are not speaking. When we had the problem. I don't think there's anything difference in terms of, here I see in spite of being an Arab world, I see equal number of male nursing students from the Arab world coming in for this profession. That's something. This is what I think is my take on it.
Yes, ma'am.
We should make enough provision.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. You will be taken through next few set of questions by Dr. Annie Raja, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, over to you. Annie Raja, ma'am, over to you.
Ma'am, would like you to brief on your work, Theology of Health and Healing.
Actually, this theology of health and healing came in Vellore as a part of a colloquium that happened in terms of faith and healing with the international organization that CMC is involved, and also national organization. Okay, so we had all our council members, and somehow, I don't know, they probably thought that I would be relevant from nursing. So that's how I came into this this whole work. I had to speak from my experience. So what I found is that, see, anybody's passion gives shape to your life. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. First of all, identify your passion. And anybody's faith along with your passion makes it happen. Whatever is your passion, if it shapes your life, your faith actually makes it into being. So you have to remember that you are made in the image of God, and you are the one who's putting your life so that God works through you. I gave you my life experience, right? Why I call nursing an unpredicted switch at rewarding, you must have understood it. It's satiating because it's satisfying. Because, you know, my passion was to be a Christian and working for Christ. And he found healing as the way, you know, bringing healing to others as the way through nursing. So my acceptance is my wholehearted willingness to accept what God has brought me, because I had a passion, and that makes your way of life. And my passion was to be like Christ, and he brought healing to be through that way. So that's how I brought this whole thing and as I said, it was an unprecedented switch. It was not something that I looked for, but it became my way of life to reach my passion. And my passion has been, and I want to use one quote, if I remember correctly, from Aristotle. He said, where the needs of the world and your talent cross, there lies your vocation. I want to repeat to everyone. Where the needs of the world and your talent is crossing, there lies your vocation. And the needs of the world for me was that I need to be in the healing profession. And my faith actually helped me to make that passion, which was supposed to be my way of life, to be a reality. That's how I, articulated it and expressed it. And so that's how, and I can tell you, I want to tell one thing to everybody. It's not about what position you hold. It's not about the number of countries you travel. It's not about the money that you make. It's not about the success or failures that you've had or the designations that you have. How many lives have you touched? How many lives have you touched? At one acquaintance of a person or many acquaintance of a person? Would that person leave you and remember you for the thought or a change that has brought into their life? This is something that each of us have to remember. And that is your reward, not your positions, rewards, or anything. How many lives have you touched in this process of your journey of healing or passion or whatever you may call of your life, which has become your way of life? It should become your way of life. It's not just part of life, but it should become your way of life. I think, I want to tell the young nursing students who are there, every other profession, they have to go door to door, or they have to make fairs and other things for them to come to them to buy their product or sell their product or, talk about their product or service provider. Here they're coming to you by themselves. And they are in the most vulnerable position, be it a prime minister, be it an ordinary man. They are in the most vulnerable position. How you can touch their life. What a blessing it is. Of course, it is going to help us. It's going to give us a profession. We are going to grow. We are today in our world with all this corona, we are 220% sure that we'll have a job and not lose our jobs. More and more it is. All that is fine. It is needed. But remember, people in vulnerable positions are coming to you. And have you touched their life by your words, by your action, and by the care that you provide? I think that will be a way of life.
Yes, ma'am. Very nicely said that passion plays a major role along with your faith, and to self-analyze and see how many lives we have touched.
Yes.
And next question is like nursing education and nursing practice. Which one you feel the most challenging and why?
How can I answer this? See, one thing I tell you, I am a very passionate teacher. Okay, I'm a very passionate teacher. I want to always translate or transfer whatever I know. So you understand? Sometimes getting through to, I'm not talking about students alone, my own colleagues, you know, who are in my own field, who are working along with me. It becomes a challenge sometimes to transfer your passion into them. That's a challenge. And how you do it is very important. Sometimes I have to thrust into them. Sometimes telling nicely does not work. So, you know, sometimes you have to thrust it in, and the result, they will see, yeah, that's why it was good, but I needed that, so and so. But that was, because I am a passionate teacher, I try to transfer that, and that transferring has been a challenge. How I transfer it has been a challenge. Now, when you come about practice, I worked, or I continue to be involved in working with, people who are really taken life suddenly by shock. I just want to tell you, yesterday we have somebody here whose 3-year-old child suddenly was not feeling well, and had some beautiful child bruises. And they went to the doctor, and they found that, not yesterday, last week, works in the transport department here, and suddenly finds that has something, and then checked and found that he's got aplastic anemia. And I have liaised them to go to Vellore. They have met the HOD, because I've been there. And that has been a challenge of addressing, you know, why this happened to them, and how can I be of it? The least help that we could do is taking care of them, and so on. That has been another challenge. And I don't know how to put challenges, which has been the most. I want to transfer all this knowledge to whatever I gain to my students or to my colleagues or whoever. It's been a challenge sometimes to transfer it in the level that you expect. You may transfer it to the level that they want, but you want to transfer it to the level that you expect. It's a huge challenge, isn't it, Annie? I'm sure when you have so much vision, to make all of us as deans to even accept it. We may sit and nod our head and say, yes, ma'am. And in our mind, they'll say, Annie ma'am doesn't have any other job. We know our difficulty with my management, with my kind of faculty, with my kind of student. It's a challenge. You know, transferring something is a huge challenge. But at the same time, in the practical field, when you look at making your nurses to be as compassionate as what you want to be, and to be relevant to them, is another challenge. So both are equal to me, but we will never end without challenge. We'll always be in challenge. If this challenge is sorted out, there'll be another challenge coming in. And challenge should be a time of learning, not giving up. I told you, one of the qualities that has helped me is not give up. So I've always tried to strive. If you ask me, have I achieved it? I don't know. I don't think so. But we will be always striving to achieve heights. Both are challenges.
Yes, ma'am. So we face challenges and we shouldn't give it up. And that is the best lesson we have learned.
Yes.
And you have started your career, your education, you started your career from CMCH Vellore. And what are the 5 reasons which you could say that you are thankful to CMC?
Actually, limiting to 5 is a huge, huge question. But at the same time, if I may say, I can say that my whole being is because of CMC Vellore. I give all due credit to my alma mater. I don't know whether everybody can speak like that about their own institution. Is a question that all of us have to answer. If our students are not able to speak like that, there is a problem with us. There's a problem which we have to analyze. But okay, because you asked me, what is it that I told you? My faith brought me to this institution. And the commitment that institution has for its whole vision. Okay, not to be ministered unto, but to minister, is the commitment that it has it been inculcated. Have our teachers sat and always drilled it into our head? No. It has just been a being. It's been being. So that is something, one of the reasons why I find my faith grew there. Okay. And I could continue and practice my faith. That's one thing. Secondly, I think this is the best nursing institution in the country. As far as I could, in my time, in now, even today, it starts its relevance. It has its ups and downs in many ways, but we're all growing. But I think that is another reason why I want. And thirdly, my own life. I met my husband there, and I have my family, my children are there. You know, your whole life is in CMC. How can I not be grateful? You know, God brought my family as also as a bonus, not bonus, as a big gift over there. And another thing, you know, CMC gave me all opportunity. Was not biased because I came from another faith or I did not work continuously. I went to Odanjatram where I worked for almost 7-8 years and came back. I think I have been one of the, or I think I'm the only one, if I am, had all the administrative position a nurse could have on the education side. I've always felt bad. I wanted to be on the nursing service also, but I have been contributing as a head of the department in hematology and other areas. I've been the additional deputy, I've been the registrar, I've been the deputy, and I've been the dean. I'm so grateful to God for giving me all these honors of being there. And it has exposed me to interact with people like you, people like Annie, and everybody in the world around also. And it has enriched me so much. So, and I built my house in Vellore close to CMC so that, and they look after my health, look after my family's health. Today in the world, what is the most important thing? That is most important, isn't it? So why I'm saying this is our institution needs to be like that for our students. Always, it's my home. I wouldn't even call that as my, second home. I would call my mother's home. That's CMC home.
Very
Taught
nice
me everything in life.
Wonderful to say that, like, we should also have the other institutions to play a major role.
Yes.
Like as you have had the experience with CMCH Vellore. And currently the nursing students in the technical era, what are your observations as strengths and limitations?
No, I think I alluded to it a little earlier also. Very often we think technology will take us away from nursing, right? I think it's a wrong understanding. We should now bring in, because the whole world is technology driven in every arena, and so much so in the healthcare field. Technology is used so much into healthcare, which actually aids the nurse to work for the patients. It kind of relieves a lot of things which the nurse has to physically do. So we have to be ensuring that our students are sound in this preparation. That's what I told you. They have brought in a program called Information Technology and Artificial Intelligence as a mandated course, which should be offered in our institution from now. This is what I'm seeing. A curriculum needs to have a continuous process of change. So I will not ever say, I used to also think, oh, this technology the students will not touch the patient. Touching the patient and using technology is two different things. It dawned into me after a long time. I feel incapacitated sometimes because I don't know some things, but I should have the willing mind to go and learn it, right? So much you can use the technology to aid in your learning. And today you have no excuse because it is there. And this is being used, artificial intelligence is used in so many treatments. Our nurse has to be sound to know that. I'll tell you one good example. Forget about even now. Vellore, what about apheresis? It's a machine which draws the platelets. It's a machine which draws the white cells. And I want to tell you, instead of a technician doing, my nurse knows it better and she's sensitive to the patient also. How can you say technology is going to take you away? So, well, don't fully only depend on the technology and forget the person who's lying there. That is something. Just because you're so skillful in operating this technical thing that you forget about who's lying there. But I want to tell you one thing. You can touch the patient and still forget your patient. do it like a robot. You understand? Turn them, do it, take a temperature and walk out. So it's not a technology that divides you from the patient. It is your mindset. You have to be sound in this, but also be conscious that this person is a live person who's lying here, meeting them. So my observation is technology is needed today. And our Indian exposure has to be sound for the students. Otherwise, you'll find even a brilliant student lacking to be efficient. A sound practical student, skillful student, deficient in this. And she'll be condemned as a person who's not skillful, who's not knowledgeable. Let's wake up to that reality. That's very important. I was one who thought, oh, technology will take me away from this. That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, ma'am. Technology is also very much needed in this technical era.
Yes.
And
yes.
the last question to you is, madam, how do you manage your personal and professional life and your timings like?
I already told you, I think all my credit goes to my mother who just left last year. And that's how I managed both. And but I also like to be, you know, I am one, this has been in my mind. People say, if once you're a nursing student, you're like a frog in the well and you don't come out and you're only into that and working and that's it. I like a lot of other things to be involved. I'm one, you know, I will find, people say, how do you find time? If you ask me, actually, that's my recreation. That's my break point. I will be in choir. I will be in, you know, chapel service leading, or I'll be in some kind of activity involved. If I say, oh, I have this, even I'll tell you one example, even as a student, my roommates used to say, I will do all the studies during the week, and then I will wash all my clothes on Saturday. Sunday, they'll say Selva can't be found. Morning, if I go, I'll come back only night, 9 o'clock. I'll go to chapel service. I'll go hospital singing. I'll go for choir practice. Then I will go for SCM, and then I'll come. Because if it's not there, no, it's like I didn't eat my food. It's like that. So I just have to do things somehow like, and people also ask me, one other thing that I want to advise all of you. I want to advise all of you, and I never regret. As a student, I never missed any programs. You know, that enriches your life. It's outside. You know, I love picnics. You won't believe, when I was the dean, I took all the faculty to houseboat in Kerala as a dean. I took all of them and went. And, you know, I'm just trying to say is that's the way you balance your life, and being involved in good cause for the society. You know, I was, like I told you, women's redressal cell. It's a huge issue of issue in anywhere, you know, and sometimes in an institution like CMC, you may think everything goes well. No, it's not. So being in a case and involved, and I was secretary, I would write report. It's all beyond outside. But I learned a lot about being available in situations, putting your insight, how to address those sort of things. And Good Samaritans, and the other thing about, you know, canteen running, going and buying. I tell you one example, because that Good Samaritan was one of the facility that started, and we went and looked at kitchen and running and all that. That helped me when I started the hostel for nursing students. Buying furnitures, all that helped me because I was involved with that. So, you know, I just want to tell you, that's how I balance, and that's how I find time. I think it's excuse that you give, you don't have time. Always you say you don't have time. You make time. You make time, then even now I also say I don't have time, but make time, then you will be involved. And as I told you, I could do all this because my mother was there. I never bothered when I'm traveling, who's going to look after my children or anything. Another one point, if I didn't, please, 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 if you get an opportunity, keep link with your friends. And if you go somewhere and you know somebody is there, you know, meet up with them and say hello, have a cup of coffee or something. These are very, very enriching experiences that you went to one place and you know somebody whom you are connected is there. Always go say hello. Take an effort. You don't know what transformation you bring into their life. It balances your life. I like to do those sort of things.
Wonderfully said, ma'am. Like, you need to utilize all the opportunities which are given to you, and then to have a network, and then to have contact with your friends so that we can update and grow up in both personal and professional life.
I'll add Annie, I'll add one joke to this. When I go to church, my family will say, Ma, after church, if you don't come here where the car is in 15 minutes, we are gone. Because they'll tell me I'm like a Vellore town bus. I'll be standing and talking here, there, here, you know, like, but I have found that actually it's been the way many things have been a blessing because I spoke to somebody, or I've been a part of their blessing also. So I'm just trying to tell you is, enrich your life with that. It's just not nursing alone. Of course, nursing is priority, whether you are teaching or whatever you're doing or managing or leader or anything. Balance your life with other things. Watch a good movie.
Yes. Well said, ma'am. Ma'am, next is the photo session.
Oh, okay.
And so we have few photos and you can tell about those photos.
Okay, sure. Okay, the first picture that you see on the left-hand side where I'm standing, this is a picture where I went to Scotland, and the lady with that green jacket who is standing, she is the Dean of the Highlands, Islands and Highlands, Stirling's University Dean. They have two campuses. One is in the Inverness, another is in, you have to go to Western Isles. You go and look in your map, there's a small island outside. So you have to go in a ferry. And I went to that island and I was meeting up with their faculty there. And it was a very wonderful experience. And you know, I want to tell you here one knowledge. I found in that place very few green trees and there's hardly anything. There's low level grass. And then I asked why trees don't go here, because I found Scotland is fully beautiful. In this island, they have what they call peat. Please Google and look. Peat is, you know, when volcanoes have come and gone, it produces a layer of like a soil burn. And in that, nothing deep will grow. So that's a learning I've had. You know, everywhere you go, you learn something and be oriented to many other things, not only restrict yourself to something. Yes. This other picture. Okay. The other picture that you see, it was a very recent one. When I say recent, is 2019. Vellore has Alumni Association for Medical. It's called as Gathering of the Clans, they call it. Okay, clan, Gathering of the Clans. And nursing people, only spouses have been going. But then they realized that it is important that we have also the nurses go there. And you can see the ma'am who's wearing next to me in yellow sari. Yes, Kamalni Rajendram, her name is. Ma'am's husband was a pediatric surgeon. He passed away a year before, and ma'am has been a strong alumni in the board of American Alumni, and she said we need to have nurses also gather, and she got a session, you know, a portion of whole of that 3 days. So this was in Washington DC, and I was the dean. I had in fact finished, but she has visited, and she's the one who helped us furnish the chapel that is there in the new campus. We made a new campus, those of you who visited know, and our chapel was not used. And I was thinking, Lord, you found every facility to be used, but your house is not being used for worship. And I expressed it to her when she came. She, on behalf of her husband, gave money and we furnished that, and we started chapel service in that chapel every morning and also on evenings one day. And she invited me for this meeting, and this is all the alumni all over the US who came over there for that gathering of the clans.
Very nice, madam. Next one.
Yeah. This is in 2019 again. The next one is an alumni reunion. I think that was my last year of deanship. And some people who had come for alumni being awarded, we just took a picture. Alumni meetings that happens. Okay, this next one that is there, of course, that's my husband, Raju. This is Grand Canyon, one of the world wonders, you know. I worked only in Vellore, and with the, of course, you know, the salaries and how we manage. And I worked in Odanjatram, which is even, but God has been sufficient, okay? I'll tell you one joke. I used to say to my husband, People here drink kanji. Kanji is kanji, you know, kanji. Yeah, kanji in Malay porridge. Kanji out of humility, but we are drinking kanji out of necessity because by middle of the year we don't have. That time those salaries were 350 rupees. But what I'm saying is, after my husband recently had, before he's back in Vellore, he went for 2 years of sabbatical leave to Bangladesh. So I told my husband, we need to take our children somewhere so that we can show them something. When our knees are still moving, they can travel with us. So we went to US, and this is along with, before I went to Washington for my, this thing, you know, they had invited me. But my family, my children, Tina, Nikhil, and even Nathan, who was 1 year, 3 months, we went to Grand Canyon. And there's a picture with the Grand Canyon, one of the wonders of the world. It's Colorado River there. Okay. The next one is in Las Vegas. Again, when we did that trip, when we stayed in Las Vegas before we went to Grand Canyon. And this in Las Vegas, you find clowns on the way. And this guy came and hugged me, so our children took pictures of him. This is, I think you can make out that this is Anetta Smith, who is Highland. This is the mainland campus. And my dear friend, Leah, is the faculty there. And that's how we got connected.
Okay, well, next.
This is the museum in Washington,
Madam
New York.
Madam
Yes.
Ducharme. Yes.
Yeah, Madame Ducharme. That's where I took, and that's a picture. This is where in New York, you know, before you go on to the Statue of Liberty, there's a miniature one that is there. So that's a picture from there.
So we had a very good time with you, madam, sharing your experiences. Now over to Sudha.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful interaction with you. Lot of
Sudha, we
information.
are not
Lot
able
of
to see you, Sudha.
Ma'am, my camera just like that it went off, ma'am.
Okay,
I'm
all
sorry.
right. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful interaction. Lot of inputs and experiences from your life, and lot of motivating and encouraging messages for the upcoming leaders and students. Thank you so much, ma'am. Before we conclude, I request our registrar to say few words.
Ma'am, what could I say? It's a wonderful session. I learned a lot, you know, looking at your experience, you know, looking at life, the challenges in the service side as an administrator or the personal, professional. Sometimes I used to think, as you say, is it needed that only I move around with my nursing? I know I do. I'm a Rotarian too. Sometimes I feel this is an extra burden. Why should I go and meet these people? But now I feel, after you're talking about, I mean, I am something for them, you know, for anything, they'll call me and I could help them. I mean, the small things, you know, sometimes I feel it is overburden in sitting in this chair, you know, what are the pressures, I get it, but it is a wonderful experience. I think every one of us who is listening to this one, and those who are going to listen in the YouTube later, also definitely it is going to be a great lesson, ma'am. It is awesome that I could choose Selva ma'am as one of my leader and bring you to this virtual platform and make, you know, people to know, hey, there is a leader, please look and learn things, you know. As I told you in my inaugural session, the leadership crisis is not there in India. The leaders are there. People are not ready to identify and tell them, you are a leader, and come and give your experience or share your experience. That is what lacking. So I think this platform really, I was thinking whether to stop it, you know, after while I was, the idea was conceived. Now I'm not going to stop it.
No.
I'm going to have it. But, you know, identifying the leader, you know, to make them to talk and make them to share their experience. And how it is, you know, like the previous person last 2 months before, her experience was entirely different. And yours is, you know, you are from the elite institution, as you said, only one institution, whole India was looking upon a CMC Vellore, where you got throughout your retirement, all the experience and the exposure what you have gained through CMC. Either it is an integrated role or an admin role or as a, you know, theology and healing. You know, I was really happy to see that, you know. I always think how this theology and healing, and you're fortunate to have such you know, experience. And I think I would really openly say I was a little jealous that you had so much of exposure.
Yes.
And by the time I reach this age, I don't know whether I will get that exposure, ma'am.
Of course.
But I'm very thankful to God that God has lifted you so much, and I'm very proud on behalf of my fraternity that we could see a leader who could show to the youngsters that yes, there is a way, there is a challenge. It is not a bed of roses, but it is inviting you to become a leader in the process of learning and the process of our journey, whatever it is. In our country, of course, it's a populous country. We have a lot of nitty-gritty in political and system-wise, and whether it is a government or a private, but still we are shining in the world platform. So I think this has shown them a real guiding light to everyone to look upon you as as we look at the star and say, that is my guiding light. So that way, I hope our children, our student nurses, and the faculty and the principals, whoever is watching, it would have been a great delight for them for their years to know your experience. And thank you so much, ma'am, on behalf of Tamil Nadu Nurses and Midwives Council, that you could make this 2 hours, almost 2 hours. And I request if anyone raise their hand, put up your hand, we'll allow you to ask if you have any, urging question, or you feel that ma'am should answer from the participant. You can just raise your hand so that, or is there anything in the chat box if you could find that could be addressed by ma'am?
I see one hand, Anisha.
Yeah, Anisha, I too see her, but
Manjeet, can you unmute her?
Which name?
Nisha.
Nisha. She has raised a hand. She want to ask something. Or in the chat box,
No, yes, ma'am. Not a question, ma'am. It's all thanking messages.
Thanking messages. Okay.
And,
Right.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
if she's not answering, maybe we can just move on. Sudha,
Yes,
over to you, ma'am. It's over to you. How do you felt? And
Yeah.
thank you.
I just want to say what an honor it has been for me to be in this platform. I'm humbled once again, Annie, for considering me to speak. I just want to only give at the end one thing. I think all this happened in my life because of the grace from above. I want to acknowledge that. If ever something that I've been able to do is because of the grace from above. And so I want all of us to take this as one message. Be always grounded, whenever you grow in your leadership, don't lose your vision. Be grounded where you are. So many things will come up to you. So many accolades will come, and so many people will say you're doing very well, and try to get favors from you. Be grounded, be fair, whether it's your friend, whether it's not your friend, whether it is your enemy, whatever it is, whoever you consider, whatever, you be fair. That is what you have to. I'm just telling you, people with magnifying glass will keep looking at you. You may not even intend to do anything wrong, but that will be considered as wrong. And don't give up. Don't give up. I told you, don't give up. Circumstances or people cannot or should not put you down. Another thing I want to tell you, always be inclusive of everyone. In your leadership, it shouldn't be that only you make. Don't get threatened by a junior person who's coming up. You have to leave a legacy behind. If you as a leader do not leave a legacy behind, if you have not mentored people enough, I think you have failed thoroughly, utterly. I've been conscious here that I kind of trying to, and they keep saying, ma'am, why you're telling me? I said, no, you need to know. If I'm not here tomorrow, what will happen? You should know what's happening. So these are my words. And I just want to tell you, Annie, I feel humbled. I don't know if I've been fit enough.
No, you should see the pouring messages in the chat box. You can click yourself and see. Wonderful, thought-provoking interaction, inspiring, very informative. Lot of messages just pouring in, ma'am. Please have a look at it.
Thank you so much.
Sharing a huge experience, a lot of things are coming up. You can read it by yourself. Sincerely thanking you for taking out time from our busy schedule to provide us such a information. A lot of things are coming up. You can watch yourself. Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, on behalf of Tamil Nadu Nurses and Midwives Council, Sudha, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Manjit or Ajwant, Could you help us to take a picture?
Yeah, all of us together. Yeah, we forgot.
Mine,
to-
I'm sorry, ma'am. Something
Yeah, you
happened
are
to my
not
camera.
there.
Yes.
Usually take.
It is unfortunate, ma'am. Highly unfortunate, but still.
Okay. Annie, are you there?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
there.
Yeah. Right. Can you,
Manjit?
run? Yeah, with the maybe we would have taken earlier. Yeah.
Maybe in the initial setup itself, we could take it.
And Rajwat, did you take a pic?
Yes, ma'am. I'm waiting for everybody to switch on their cameras.
All of you, please switch on. Whoever is there, please switch on your camera. We'll take a picture and move on.
Rajat, next time you take it in the middle of the session, okay? Because usually that's what they do. Because you're new, I forgot to tell you, no? Okay? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Photo has been
You have taken?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Rajwat.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So we have come to the end of the session. I take this opportunity to thank our nurse leader, Dr. Selva Titus Chaco, for her wonderful interaction, having spared her valuable time and giving us important inputs for the upcoming nurse leaders. Ma'am, you are the best example for the saying, when there is a will, there is a way, which we all will imbibe and should imbibe. Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank our organizing chairperson for being a stimulus to all of us and organizing such a unique program, bringing the nurse leader for the knowledge sharing. Thank you, ma'am. I thank all the principals, faculty members, friends, and students for your participation. I'm sure you have a lot of inputs from this session for your personal and professional growth. I thank TNNMC and ECHO team for their help and support. And my sincere thanks to Dr. A. Aniraja for the support and coordination. So we conclude this session now. It's Dr. Aniraja and Sudha signing off from this session. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless. God bless
you,
and have
ma'am.
a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Manjeet, you can end the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.